Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review. I'm looking at the TaylorMade SLDR Hybrid. Now, the reason I picked this up is I actually reviewed the driver last year and I loved it. Got on with it really well. It was a lot of fun to hit. Now, out the middle, it really did fly, and potentially on the second-hand market, even though it's a 2013 club, it's a great option there, to save yourself some money and get a club that can still go miles. I absolutely loved it, and do check out the channel for that review. And because of that, it's like I wanted to test the other side of the SLDR, potentially the hybrid, are the hybrids going to be as good as the driver? Are they still worth getting in the second-hand market nowadays? This is 11 years old, from 2013 this was, does it still stack up? And so that's why I've got it, and that's what we're going to find out today. So as always, we're going to have a closer look at the club. Then we're going to come back here, go through all the technology that's in there. And then we're going to go down to range, going to throw some figures at you, and then we'll come back here for the ACS Golf scale. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Anyway, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, in a very good looking club. Really nice shape, a bit of a smaller hybrid. Let's be honest, the weight's right at the front of here. This isn't probably going to be the most forgiving, but with the SLDR, the whole way they did it, they just looked very sort of rugged and powerful. These clubs are not as quite as sort of clean as all the brand new ones. They just look mean in my mind, that they're gonna go far and they're gonna, well, be the longest clubs that you ever try, which at the time they were. But are they still nowadays? And that's the thing, and that's why I've been testing them. Anyway, so let's get into the technology that's in here. So I managed to find this off TaylorMade's website, which is great. The fact that you can still find these things. Low/forward CG, so center of gravity, plus more loft equals more distance. So same thing with this that you had with the driver. So with the driver, the whole point about it was loft it up. Get maximum distance by lofting that club up to help the launch, because it was such a low spinner at the time, to maximize the distance. And exactly the same idea with the hybrid. I'd read a lot of reviews about this, and they were saying, if you have a 3 hybrid, 19 degrees, and you buy this in a 3 hybrid, 19 degrees, this will go longer. You've got to crank it up to get the same distance. So, same thing with the drivers, the whole philosophy around the SLDR, crank it up for more distance, don't be afraid, be like, well, I always use a 19-degree hybrid. Don't be afraid to crank it up more to maximize that distance, because with that 21, with that 19-degree, because of that weight all down the front, you might not get the distance that you want because it's just not coming in the air enough. But anyway, there we go. So going into the technology now in more detail, so you've got new cut-through speed pocket, flexes with more efficiency. So there you go, that's a speed pocket. It's quite a small one nowadays, TaylorMade have it sort of around the whole front. Improved speed pocket design promotes faster face flex for increased ball speed. Fantastic. They've had that speed pocket for years. Going on more about the speed pocket, they really sort of went into the speed pocket with this club. Improved speed pocket design allows further forward CG for increased ball speed. So there you go. Normally when you look at these hybrids or any sort of clubs, the idea of these rescues, you have the weight at the back there. Having the weight at the back increases forgiveness, increases MOI, helps you launch the ball in the air, etc., etc. But with this, they've got it at the front there. They want this to be a low spin bomber. And the idea is with this sort of, speed pocket, that gives it enough sort of forgiveness in the lower hits on the face to keep the ball speed up without having to have mass at the back. So as I said, the improved speed pocket allows further forward CG for increased ball speed. So that's center of gravity, by the way. Exceptionally low and forward CG promotes faster ball speed and lower spin. That's the whole thing about the SLDR range. Speed pocket technology and shallow face combined for easy launch and playability with sustained speed off the face. Again, great. And then you've got tailor-made loft sleeve technology allows 1.5 degrees of loft change. So I actually have this in a 2 hybrid, 17 degrees. I could take this up to 19.5. I could take it down to 15.5. However, I would never suggest lofting these down. Always loft up. And one thing about these clubs as well, which was really pointed out at the time, was all the shafts that were basically in these clubs were very premium. They weren't sort of mill run, sort of average, shafts that a lot of the big brands put in there, and then you obviously have to pay extra to get those more premium shafts. With these, they were putting the premium shafts straight in there. So you had a Ficura speeder, 82, which I have here, 82 grams, regular flex speeder. And then you could also get the Ficura motor speeder TS, which is tour spec 9.3. And that only came in extra or stiff. The normal speed 82 came in extra stiff or regular. And the whole point is a premium shaft straight in there. They wanted to make this a really premium product. And at the time, it was quite expensive. And the idea as well, if you've got this low spin bombing head, you need to make sure there's a good shaft in it to back it up. That's exactly what they did. Going through the options they had as well with this club. So you could get it in a 2 hybrid, which I've got here, 17 degrees. I tested this as well at 17 degrees. You can only get this from right-handed, so live 59. Quite interesting here, volume 110cc, okay, and a little bit longer, so 41.75 inches on average. And then you had the 3 hybrid, 19 degrees, so you get them right hand and left hand. Live 59.5 degrees. I started going for all of it, so I will. Volume though, 112cc, which is quite interesting. I'll come back to this at the end. And then length 41.25 inches. And then, which you'd expect, obviously, 2 hybrids going to be the longest club in there, and then 3, 4 is going to become shorter. And then you had a 4 hybrid, 21 degrees, which you get right hand and left hand. Light 60 degrees, volume 114cc, length 40.75 inches. And then finally the 5 hybrid, loft 24 degrees, right-handed, live 60.5 degrees, volume 116cc, and length 40.25 inches. It's quite interesting with this because normally when you come down to clubs like this, especially sort of your fairway woods and things like that, you find the bigger CC are further longer clubs. So further 3 high, the 3 wood, for example, where you want maximum distance and you want maximum forgiveness because it's the longest club. With this, don't get me wrong, it's only 2cc volume, so is there really much of a difference? But with this, it actually changed. So this is the smallest head within the 2 iron, the 2 hybrid, sorry, and the longest, the biggest, the biggest is number 5. It's a 5 hybrid, a whole 6cc more, which I find quite interesting when I read that, to be fair. I don't expect this to be the bigger head, for the longest distance and more forgiveness, but it's not the case. So very interesting there. Okay, got through all the technology there, did mumble my way through it a bit, so apologies for that. Now let's get down to the range. I'm going to throw some figures at you. Believe me, they're good figures, even with the regular effects. I'll always say I normally, everything in my bag's stiff, so regular, don't normally use it. But anyway, some really nice figures, and then we'll come back here for the ACS golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. So here we are down the range with this. And as I mentioned, I've got the 2 hybrid here, 17 degrees. So distance-wise, I don't really know what I'm looking for here. Probably about, on average, above the sort of the 215 mark, I'd say. So let's get into those figures. I will say as well, obviously, apologies without the tracer. Didn't quite have the angle set up. The tracer is on a few shots at the end, but for the majority of it, you'll just see the ball disappear into the distance. Now, going into the figures, so on average, I had a carry of 200 yards, total distance of 217 yards, ball speed of 132 miles per hour, launch angle 13, and height 69 feet. Really, really impressed with those figures. Had quite a few over the 224 mark as well for total yards. The best one on the day actually was 211 yards carry, 224 yards total distance, and 134 miles per hour ball speed. Fantastic result with this club. We're getting there over the 5 wood,
distance, what I'd expect with 220, and getting closer to that sort of 3-wood distance there. So this thing is an absolute bomber. It's a real joy to hit. You know, it was great fun. I found that I was actually able to launch in the air pretty well, which I think is down to that sort of regular shaft that I had in there. But overall, just really, really good.
So there you go, pretty impressive performance from this. This is a 2 hybrid, so 17 degrees. So roughly, say the same as a 5 wood. And for me, 5 wood, I'm expecting around 220 yards total distance. On average, it's 217. There was quite a few over that 220 mark. I had 2, which is 224 yards total distance. Ball speed around 134 miles per hour. On average, 132 miles per hour. Really, really impressed by this, especially the fact this is 11 years old. This isn't a brand new hybrid. This is 11 years old. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very much an advocate where, you don't need to go out and buy brand new drivers. You can go a couple of years old and get some really good stuff. For me, as I always say, TaylorMade was the M2 point. Callaway was Callaway Big Bertha Epic when they brought in that new technology at the bottom of it, the jailbreak system, which they've now removed. Cobra was the F9. They all have points where you can go all the way back there, and it's not really that much of a difference. But to be able to go back 11 years and still get these numbers, very, 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 very impressed. So yeah, so 217 on average, 224 hit a few times longest. And you remember this is a regular shaft. So I didn't feel like I could go full hog with it because it's a regular. I feel like if I went in stiff, I might even get a little bit more distance. Maybe not the launch, might have to loft it up a little bit there, but because the launch with this was very good with this shaft. But maybe when I get a stiff, the shaft's not going to help me as much get it in the air. Be more consistent with it, but not help me get it in the air as much. So I'd probably have to loft it up, but I still think there's more in the tank for this. So very, very impressed. So on average, 217 yards. Very, very happy with that. So let's go into the ACS golf scale. Remember, we got 5 categories. We've got distance, feel, looks, price, and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. Let's go into distance. Now, for me, I've been talking about this, and I've actually put a number down here, and I've given it 4.5 out of 5 for this, because half of me wants to put 5 down, because it is really, really, really long. It really is. Very, very impressed with it. But I'm going to stick it to 4.5. I just think if you're going for the really, really long bombers of this year, if you get the low spinning hybrids, which there's some out there, your TaylorMades, your Callaways, etc., then this might not necessarily keep up exactly like it. I don't think it's going to be far off, and that's why I put 4.5 out of 5. I still think, this is one of the longest out there, so do be aware of that. But yeah, giving it 4.5 out of 5. Could be a 5, to be honest, but I'm going to stick with a 4.5 out of 5. I'm so tempted to put it as a 5. So tempted to put it as a 5. Remember, this is a hybrid, and it's getting me 5 wood figures. Even though it is a 2 hybrid, don't get me wrong, it's still getting me 5 wood figures pretty much. And I don't feel I went full hog on it either. Discussions while we're doing the filming. Oh, I'm going to put 5. I've changed my mind. I'm putting 5. There we go. It's 5. 5 out of 5 for distance. This thing is a beast. I loved it. It was fantastic fun to hit. Really good distance, even for it's amazing really for something that's 11 years old that it's producing this much distance out there at the moment. It is so much fun. It really is. So I'm saying it, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. All right, we did quite a bit of chat on this video discussing it then, but it has to be 5 out of 5. So 5 out of 5, final answer. There we go. Always interesting when I read through these and then decide to change my mind as I go through. I do have a think before I film these, I will say that, but for some reason for me, 5 out of 5 has to be done. Beast, deserves it. 5 out of 5. Okay, now moving on. Okay, feel 3.5 out of 5. It feels nice. Could I relatively feel where my miss hits were? Not exactly, unless I really hit it up the top. Felt powerful, felt solid. 3.5 out of 5. Nothing really more to say about it. Just felt really nice. Looks, I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, the bottom of it just looks mean. I like the top of it as well. I like the fact it is that smaller hybrid, very traditional shape as well. There, it's a really good looking club, to be fair. And I think it's aged really well. I think you put that in a bag, I don't think anyone would be looking at this going, oh, that looks ancient, even though it's 11 years old. I think it's aged really well. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to find one of these in really good condition, but I've been looking, there's quite a few out there that still look very, very nice. So yeah, so 4.5 out of 5 for looks. Very happy with it. Moving on to forgiveness now. Forgiveness, I give a 3 out of 5. This is a bomber of a hybrid. I think that speed pocket there is some really good forgiveness in there. But, like I said, an average of 217. I had one that was only 208 yards, 131 miles per hour. It came up the top of the head because you could tell by the launch because it's 16 feet high. And another one was 207 only yards, total yards, and the ball speed there dropped all the way down to 126. So forgiveness is good. I think the forgiveness, for what this is, it's very good. So I'm giving it 3 out of 5. But if you're looking for an absolute ultimate forgiving hybrid, which a lot of people are when they look at hybrids, they want it because it is more forgiving than a long iron. Don't get me wrong, I think this is probably more forgiving than a long iron. Definitely. It's still got that level of forgiveness in there. But I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And you need to be aware as well, even though, like I mentioned, it's got really good forgiveness in there. Well, relatively good forgiveness in there, being a 3 out of 5. This is a low spin bomber. So do be aware, if you're looking for something like this, you need to have the swing speed to keep the spin up and get it in the air, or a really good launch angle. If you've got a really good launch angle, then you should be all right. But either a really good launch angle or the speed in the swing to get it in the air, or potentially do what I did, have a regular flex, which is going to help increase that spin and then help increase that launch angle. But however, it can mean that you're a little bit less efficient with it, which I do find when using regular shafts. Gets a ball in the air a lot better for me, but I can spray it around a little bit more just because I can't necessarily get the kick at the same time with it, especially if I'm swinging full hog. So there you go, 3 out of 5. Now on to price, which for me I think is the best thing about this club, apart from the distance as well, which is 5 out of 5. This price. So on eBay, I've seen these go, including delivery, in good condition as well, for £28. So I saw a 3 hybrid go for £28. That's $35. Saw a 4 hybrid go for £35. That's $44. Another 3 hybrid, £24.50. $30. If you're looking at Golf Bidder secondhand stores, you're looking at under £50, which is around that sort of $60 mark. For a club that, yes, don't get me wrong, you need to make sure it's good condition. Shafts don't last forever. So make sure there's no real bag rub or anything on there. Like this isn't. I mean, this is a pristine shaft. I think this person barely used this club, to be fair, which is awesome. Do be aware of that because the shaft will probably go before the head because these old heads, they really are bulletproof, to be fair. Don't hold me to that. Do something stupid with them, but they are generally a lot more bulletproof, I feel, than your more modern ones. So yeah, it's absolute bargain. So 5 out of 5. Price 5 out of 5. Absolute bargain. If you get one in good condition, which there are a lot out there, surprisingly, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. It's gonna be great. Even if the shaft doesn't last, you're still gonna get a season, 2 season out of it. And if you're spending on eBay £30 for 2 seasons, you could buy a brand new one for, well, you could probably buy 5 of them for brand new cost of a brand new one. So there you go. Well, more than 5 actually. Oh, I say more than 5. No, we need 10 on some of them nowadays. But yeah, lovely, amazing, great. So there you go. Price 5 out of 5. So there you go. There's my overall review of the TaylorMade SLDR. Even change the result for the distance while going through it with you guys. A fantastic club. If you're looking for a cheap hybrid, your launch angle's good, your spin's good, and you want maximum distance, this is an absolute bargain. 5 out of 5 for price. Really good fun with it. I've really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't be surprised if somehow this might sneak in the bag, to be fair. Maybe if I can crank it down still get the launch good. Maybe it gets rid of my 3-wood. You know, I can crank it down to 15.5, which is a 3-wood size there, 3-wood loft there, sorry. You know, and it might go in there because it's going to be easier to hit than a 3-wood because of that smaller head. So there you guys, there you go, guys. Finally got through all of it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Do remember to hit that subscribe button if you did, and hit the bell icon for weekly reviews such as this. A lot of other videos coming up, like versus videos, etc. Give it a like as well, and also do comment down below. You know, have you tried the SLDR stuff? You know, did you have it back in the bag back in the day? You know, if you did, let me know your thoughts. I'd be really interested to know. All right, guys, I'll see you soon for the next ATS golf video. Bye bye.